What is up, you guys? Josh here, also known as Harry Tornado. I'm trying to make sure my volume is down because my last two live streams, I think I just made that. Okay, it's down. It's down.
We're good. There we go.
We're good.
Let me turn it down. There we go. Okay, got it.
We're starting off right. Here we go. So thank you guys so much for joining us tonight. I'm here with my buddy Dave, Tesla picker. I reached out to him recently over the last couple weeks. You've been on my channel before when I do like the open floor plan where everybody can just come and go. You jumped on a live chat one time and said, hey, but I wanted to just bring you on the channel to talk about you personally, your reselling business and everything you got going on. But also I felt like you were a very appropriate person to interview with all the stuff we've got going on lately. So Dave, let me shout out a couple people in the chat. The Thrift Kid, that was the first person here. How's it going? Taylor Brown's flipping goods, going to bed in the UK. I don't know what time it is over there, but I'm so sorry to be too late for you.
Like
Princeburg
resells,
like that. Yeah. Princeburg resells, Mama Duck Flipper, Mississippi Gypsy, SSK Promo, Art Vandalay, Emily Conway. What is up, you guys? Thank you so much for joining us tonight. So yeah, Dave, just for those people in the chat who don't know you, just tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do, where you're from, your goals, just like a short kind of autobiography, if you will.
Well, I'm Dave, of course, Tesla picker. I'm from Louisville, Kentucky, Derby City. I'm a part-time reseller. I actually got a full-time job I've been doing for about 10 years. I work in like a lab, test water, the Ohio River, if you're familiar with that. I just got in. I've been reselling for about a long time. I've been having when I say reselling, shoes, I'm a shoe fanatic. So I got a bunch of like Jordans and going all the way back to 2001. And what I would do back then is I'd buy like 2 or 3 pair and sell them so I can get mine for free. That's my only goal, was to try to get 2 pair, sell 1. So mine's basically be free, because Jordans is $200 a piece. They're almost $250 now. So I've been doing that, and I did it on eBay. So I've been doing that for a while, strictly shoes. And then about a year ago, I kind of got into some other stuff. This past January, I went hardcore everything. So, and I've been doing pretty good. So I'm doing that part-time. I have 3 boys, 17, 10, and 7, and I'm married, of course. And they take up a lot of my time. I tell my wife all the time, well, recently, that this pandemic, even though it's bad as it is, it's probably the best thing as far as for me and her, because we've been able to get so much stuff done. I've been able to jump into my reselling only because they play year-round ball, and I'm somewhere every weekend. I can't do anything during the weekend. So, but yeah, and then my goals really is I love my full-time job. I can't see people ask me if I plan to go full-time. It's a day-by-day thing, man. I don't know if I ever go full-time. I've been on my job for a while, and who knows? I also got a sock business on the side. It's kind of, I don't really put it out there that much. I mainly do socks for local basketball teams, high schools, middle schools, elementaries, things like that. And they keep me so busy that, I really don't even have to put it out there. But I have one video, I show somebody some socks, and it's just been kind of going like crazy as far as online sales. So, and that's a good thing. But yeah, man, that's pretty much me in a nutshell. To make a long story short, anyway.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I was going back through your channel and watching some of your older videos today. And you just have so many streams of income. It seems like you've got your sock business, you've got your job, you've got your reselling, obviously. And so I just love your entrepreneurial spirit. I think that's our main thing we have in common, is that we're both just go-getters. I've always wanted to branch out and try to do other things. And the sock business is great. It's good that you kind of have more business than you can handle right now.
Yeah, man, my sons got me into that. One day they came to me, man, with some socks. I don't know, back then, maybe 10 years ago, I say, maybe 2010, 2012, around that area. Mm-hmm. These socks was $20-something when they first came out, like in Foot Locker and Champs, places like that. Yeah. And I used to buy them from them. I was like, man, I can make these. This is nothing right here. And I just Googled and found out how to do it, man. And it's just been sky's the limit since then, man. And I mean, my father was like that, man. He had a bunch of kind of side hustles. And I guess that's kind of how I got it from my father. He day trades, and then he got a regular job, and he got a paint business. So he got a couple of different things too. Mm-hmm. So I guess I mean, your side hustle is always your best hustle because you get 100% of that, to put towards whatever you want to put through,
Yeah,
So
for sure.
that's just how I've been. I do one day though want to make one of these side hustles my main hustle. That way I can spend a little bit more time with my family because you probably don't know. I say a lot on my channel. I work a swing shift. So I work 7 days in a row, off 2, work another 7, off 5, and I work around the clock. So my schedule's crazy. I mean, it's just my schedule's super crazy right now. So if I have to do something during that 7, which me and you kind of went back and forth from when I was gonna get on here because I was working so much. But if I gotta do something during that 7, it's very hard for me to do. So that's if there's any reason, my schedule would be the reason why I would want to stop working where I work at anyway. So.
Yeah. You said you worked at a lab with like water. You said testing water.
Yeah, our company makes a couple of different products, and we send a lot of water to the river, and has to be tested before it goes to the river. Because of course,
that's what my wife does. My wife is the lab director for the county wastewater thing. So they'll bring in the wastewater and treat it, and she's in charge of the lab that makes sure it's safe to pump back in the river.
Exactly what I do. Yeah,
small world. That's awesome.
Yeah, exactly. So,
that's cool. So your name, Tesla Picker, I know why that is, but for those people who are watching who don't know where that name came from, explain that a little bit.
Man, it was a total whim. It was a total. I said, I'm gonna start a YouTube channel, and I'm gonna tell you how I started out. I told my wife I was gonna get a Tesla, and I was gonna buy one about a year ago. I was just gonna get one, order it and have it delivered, whatever. But me and my wife's cars paid off. They've been paid off for years. We really don't. Only bills we have is the house. We've been kind of on that. I did Dave Ramsey about 5 years ago, and I just paid off everything. I was like, no more bills for me except the house, and that's gonna be paid off here soon. So
awesome.
Anyway, I was like, look, I'm gonna get a Tesla. I'm gonna pay for it. That'd be the only bill I have. And then she's like, well, what about the Dave Ramsey thing? And I was like, oh God, So I was like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna go full blast, and that's why I got into reselling. I said I'm gonna go full blast into reselling, and I'm gonna get the money, and we're just gonna buy Tesla straight cash. So I said, I'm gonna start a YouTube channel, and I'm gonna call it Tesla Picker off the whim. I ain't think about it, nothing. That's just how it's stuck. People call me Tesla. I'm like, my God, I'm gonna get sued one day. So that's the only reason why my name's Tesla Picker, man. So
I love it because that, like, you have a goal. Like, your goal is to, at first make enough money to get that Tesla like paid and clear. But it's like naming, using that name on social media is a daily reminder of your goal. And I think that's great. My name Harry Tornado. That doesn't remind me about anything. People just call me Harry in public sometimes. But I love it. I love that you went with that name, and that helps you, at least in my opinion. I think it would help you focus on that goal and getting there.
Yeah, definitely, man. Every penny I made so far, as far as this year, every penny I made has been going right back into the business. I haven't spent anything. So I'm just, and I'm been scaling up here lately, spending a little bit more on things. Make a bigger profit, stuff like that. So it's actually working out, man. And it's just me. I don't know your wife. I was gonna ask you that too, because every now and then I see you with your wife. Does your wife have anything to do with your reselling business? Does she like going to thrifts and
that's
listing?
All she likes. Like, she doesn't like waking up early on Saturdays because that's like her one day to sleep in. And so I don't know. I can either go to yard sales without her or like wait until like 9 to go. But like your video you just posted like an hour ago, once you wait that long, a lot of the good stuff's gone. Yeah. So she'll sometimes go to yard sales, and she likes going to thrift stores. But as far as the actual business, like listing, shipping, all that stuff, that she doesn't want anything to do with that. But she's very supportive. She, like I said in a couple of my videos, like when I first got laid off from my job and we were talking about me doing this full time, like, I didn't really have to convince her because she had already seen like I'd been somewhat successful, and like you, I've never done the Dave Ramsey program myself, but I actually used to be a Dave Ramsey counselor, so it's kind of weird. But I know all the stuff. I've watched all the DVDs, but I've never actually taken the class. But we are not debt free. You guys are way ahead of us. That's awesome. But we had enough savings and enough. I guess just cushion for me to take the chance here. So that's
ever glad you did it.
Yeah, 100%, man. 100%.
That's good, man.
Love it.
Great.
So you said you were from Kentucky, right?
Yes.
So one of the reasons I want to bring you on is because as far as my knowledge of reseller content creators on the internet, You are one of the few African American ones that I know. I only know of one other one actually, and she's only on Instagram.
Right.
So, and you're from Kentucky, which is, I'm not 100% sure about the demographics of Kentucky, but if the stereotypes hold up, which we will talk about stereotypes in a second, that seems like a very white population there. So maybe just talk about how you grew up, like how you were raised, and obviously you're extremely successful. I mean, you're debt free except for your house. You have multiple sources of business. You're breaking all these typical negative stereotypes that come along with African Americans, like laziness and all that stuff. And you're proof that those stereotypes are not true. So maybe just talk a little bit about that, how you were raised and how that led you to be where you are today.
Well, I grew up in a bad part of town here in Louisville. Kentucky is definitely like let me bring it back. In Louisville, Kentucky, the African American community is okay. It's pretty big, but right outside of anywhere else in Kentucky it's like you're right. I mean, the stereotypes, we get to those in a few because I want to know what some of those are. But in Louisville, I grew up in a poor part of the town up until I was about 16 or 17. And my wife and father got enough money, and we actually moved out to the suburbs when I was about 16, junior year. So we didn't have much. But, I graduated high school and I went to college. Went to WKU for 3 years, came back here, went to U of L for 2 years, and got a job. So I actually did pretty good for myself, man. I have a lot of friends who are still struggling right now. I have a lot of friends. I don't know if you know about Louisville, but Louisville's at one point was like the murder capital, of the United States as far as population is concerned. Maybe in the early 2000s, and it was bad, man. I got a lot of friends and got killed. A lot of friends in jail right now. It was bad, but and I tell people this all the time. My mother and my father was always there. If you have a strong backing, I don't care what type of neighborhood you're in, you will succeed. And luckily for me, my mother and father didn't let me do anything. You come home when the lights come on. You better be at home. No, you can't go there by yourself. I mean, I was 16 and couldn't do a lot of stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's good. And I hated it back then, but I'm glad that they did that. Anyway, so I had a kid when I was 21. I'm 38 now, so I have a 17-year-old boy right now, a 10-year-old and a 7-year-old, and so I had to drop out of college. I was in college 4 years and dropped out and never finished, man. I was 17, 2 semesters away from graduating, man. But I had to work, man. I had a kid and I felt like I had to work. And I finally got through it, man. I worked for a while and raised my kid. He's a fine young man. He makes all A's. He goes to one of the top actually schools in the United States. It's Manual High School in Louisville, but it's like top 10 in the United States. It's pretty good. And he's about to graduate next year and he's going to college. He actually has a governor's scholar. If you don't know what that is, he can go to any school in Kentucky for free. He got picked because of his grades and, he's involved in a lot of stuff. Anyway, I forgot where I was going with it. But like I said, man, it's just all about what you do. I mean, you just got to play the hand you dealt, basically, and I was dealt a bad hand in the beginning, but I pulled through just because my father and mother taught me the ways to do it.
That's awesome, man. So many, definitely police brutality is obviously an issue that Black people deal with. Yeah. I've been pulled over by police like 43 times since I've been driving. From age 16 to age 20, I've had like 22 speeding tickets, and I've had like 25 speeding tickets my whole time. Never once did I ever fear for my life, people can argue about the reasons behind that, but that's just never anything that I've had to deal with. But I think for at least my opinion as a white man who's never dealt with any of this, I think a lot of problems that young Black people have in America is that they're growing up in neighborhoods or homes that are single parent homes. Like you said, your mom and dad, I guess they're still together now.
Yeah, they divorced them, but and good for them. They waited till me and my sister went to college before they divorced. They probably wanted to divorce time ago. You know how parents are, but they waited till we went off to college and then split up.
Yeah,
Like,
they got all the raising out of the way before it's
right.
and it takes a strong relationship to do that.
Heck yeah,
Like
I
the
know.
parents both have to agree that like, hey, it will be best for our kids to be raised in a two-parent
Mhm.
household, even if they wanted to get a divorce when you were 10 or something.
Yeah.
I've had 4 stepdads. My mom's
Oh,
been
really?
married 4 times, so
Mm.
I'm right there with you. But
That what you said about being arrested. I've been arrested. Hell, I can't even count, man. I'm hands and feet. I've been arrested a lot of times, but never been to jail. I've had handcuffs on. I probably 10 times. When I say handcuffs, like, and they pull me out the car and put me on the side of the road and put handcuffs on me and check my car or whatever. Probably over 10 times, but never found anything, man. I've always had I started working early, so I've always had a nice car growing up.
Yeah.
Back in the day, you put the rims in your car and stuff like that. So I've always had a nice car. And back then, if you had a nice car and you was drug dealing, you was doing that, you're doing anything. But like I said, I've never been arrested in my life, but I've had handcuffs on 10 times, man. Just get out the car. And the excuses, I was so young back then, I didn't know the excuses they give you after they realize, you good and everything's good is, people stealing license plates and changing license plates, like you could have ran my plate before and knew it was mine,
Yeah.
And I didn't know this back then, you're 16, you knuckleheaded, 17, 18, 19, you don't know. What else? I mean, I've gotten all kind. One time me and my uncle got pulled over. We was coming home from college, just a weekend, and he was getting a car. So I brought him home and we had all our stuff in the trunk, clothes and stuff. And 10, I counted, it was like 10 unmarked cars pulled us over. I mean, in front of us, all over, with guns. Get out the car, get out the car, get out the car. One person was saying, get out the car. And, the doors was locked. So you try to unlock the door, get your hands up. No, get out the car, get your hands up. So you don't know what to do. We was like this, and it was so many of them. One person could have thought we were doing something and probably shot, but luckily nobody did. And that was probably the scariest moment ever, man. I was like 19. It was a year in college, man.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the time where they said, well, I had a Chrysler LHS. And at the time it was like a 99 and that was like 2001. So it was 2 years old. It was a nice Chrysler. People stealing cars like this and changing the license plates. That's when they said that. Mm-hmm. If somebody else pulls you over, tell them that you already been pulled over. Come on. Like I could have told you that. That's what I was thinking later on. And I'm okay now, but like 5-10 years after that, I started thinking about what happened when I was 19 because I was young and dumb and didn't know what to do back then. And that kind of brushed it off like, oh, this happens. But it kind of made me mad when I realized like, hey, I was, what's going on here? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But then you get used to it, man. It's like, it's done.
So even I just real quick, I want to give a shout out to Prince Burke. He gave me $100 super chat. And he said, Josh, you should consider getting me on one of these interviews.
You should serve as what? What did he say?
He said I should consider getting him on one of these interviews.
Okay.
I don't really want to sell interview spots, but that's $100.
Yeah.
So Prince Burke, send me an email and we'll work something out. But
who was that right there? Shout out to him. What's his name?
Prince Burke Resells.
Oh, I never
he's been in a couple of my I've seen his
I can't see his picture, it's so small. I don't know. Maybe if I see his picture, I know.
Oh wait, there it is.
But yeah, man, it's just a lot. And okay. I've seen him before. But yeah, I mean, like I said, I've been pulled over. And it happens to a lot of people, not just blacks. But my situation, just having handcuffs on that many times and haven't been arrested is crazy, for no reason. Yeah. So
I've never had handcuffs on. I think the closest I ever came, me and my friends, my 2 white friends, we went to the top of this parking garage with like 3 dozen eggs, and we were throwing eggs off the top of the parking garage and hitting cars that were stopped at the intersection below. Mm-hmm. Real fun, but real dumb, obviously. And we hit this one guy. He had his window rolled down, and it like hit right on the edge of the door and like splattered all over him. We thought it was hilarious because I was like 18 at the time. But he called the cops, and by the time we walked, we didn't want to park in the parking garage because we thought we'd get caught. So by the time we walked all the way down, the cops were already there, but we didn't know it. They didn't have the sirens on. So we just walk and they, surround us, say, stop. I'm like, okay, I'm sorry. What? I'm sorry. I did it. And they yelled at us and cussed at us and they searched my car, but they never put handcuffs on me. They never put their knee on my neck and forced me to get on the ground,
Yeah, that's unfortunate, man.
So I don't know. There's so much that just goes on. But like I said, it's not just police brutality. Like growing up in homes and neighborhoods that are just failing our young Black Americans. You know, the broken households filled with either drugs or violence. The communities filled with violence. I did live in a community that was mainly Section 8 housing. Do you guys have Section 8 housing?
Yes. Yes.
So I was going through a rough time, and my friend.
Did you live in the community? You said you lived in the community?
Yeah. Yeah.
Here they have it now. I don't know if it's like that where you at, where they try to, they don't put them all together. It's like they may have a subdivision, and some of it's Section 8, some of it's great houses, some of it's apartments. I mean, it's kind of crazy, man. They're trying to get rid of all the projects, so they're trying to mix it all in.
Because they thought putting all the Section 8 housing together in one back cul-de-sac was a good idea.
Yes.
I'm like, that's just going to breed crime and violence and drugs. And that's exactly what it did. You know, I moved in because my friend offered me a room for $200 a month. I'm like, all right, whatever. I mean, there were roaches that, you know, there's violence, never anything violent to me. Like I lived in a little cul-de-sac. My next door neighbor was this Black lady. She was probably in her 80s, mid 80s. And she had a little store in her living room. You could go over there and buy candy or soda, drugs if you wanted. And everybody loved her. Everybody
sold everything.
You know, 4th of July in that neighborhood, we had guys out there with shotguns shooting in the air.
Yeah.
I was just, and it was, I never felt threatened living there because I was part of the community. You know, I left my car unlocked all the time. One time I left the house and left the front door open, and I came back and 2 of my neighbors were at my house, and they're like, yeah, we were just hanging out here because we don't want anybody to break in your house. Like, thanks, man. I appreciate it. But
I mean, it's I have one more story. I don't know. Do you know what Kentucky Kingdom is? It's Six Flags in it. Well, it was Kentucky Kingdom. Six Flags bought it. It's an amusement park basically, and now it's Kentucky Kingdom again. But back when I was 16, man, I had a situation. This is one of my situations. I just want to talk about it. Sure. Me and my wife, me and my friends, there's 3 of us. We went to Kentucky Kingdom, man, and we always get on this go-kart ride, but you had to pay for the go-kart ride. We had season passes, but this specific go-kart ride you had to pay to get on.
Yeah.
And you go and you give them $10, they give you a ticket. So, you know, we go and we always look forward to this. You know, hey, mom, can we get $10? You know, because we got to get on the ride. So everybody had their $10. We went, got the tickets, got on the ride, rode the ride. And when we got off, we got snatched up. And we was wondering why we got snatched up. They took us to this room. It wasn't just us, though. It was us, and then there was some other people, too. It was us and maybe 4 other people. And basically, I guess somebody had counterfeit tickets and kept getting on, you know, I guess using them. They found out they didn't know who it was, so they snatched us up along with some other people and took us to this room, man, and basically drilled us for about an hour, man, as far as like, you know, we can get the paddy wagon, who got the tickets, let me know, blah, blah, blah. And we was young, 15, 16 at the time.
Yeah.
And basically they did that for an hour and they threw us out, took our season passes and threw us out on the park. Now, man, we ain't nobody driving. It's way out. Back then, no cell phone. You know, didn't have no cell phone back then, nothing. So we had to walk like an hour or so before we can get to like a gas station or something to call our moms and tell them, hey, you know, we got kicked out. What's going on? And we told her, and we didn't think nothing about it, but she ended up getting a lawyer, man. And we sued Kentucky Kingdom and got some money for that. I mean, it was crazy, man. I didn't think about nothing at the time. Like I said, I think about all the stuff later on because at 16, stuff happens like this all the time. It's just like yesterday. You don't even think about it. And we actually got some money for that a little later on because one of my friend's father was a big pastor here in Louisville, and he raised hell, and we ended up selling out of court and got some money for that, man. But I just wanted to kind of throw a couple of scenarios at you of stuff that me, and I look at myself as an average. I'm not. I'm just a typical guy, man. I don't do too much. I've never been in trouble. Like I said, I've never been arrested. I've never been in trouble. But I always held down a job. I kind of stay out the way. I'm not in that scene really, you know. I mean, I went out back in the day a little bit, but wasn't really hardcore like that. So I was never in a, you know how you go some place, you're like, oh man, I shouldn't be here. So something's about to go down. I was never really in that scene, really, you know. But it's still, you know, I still have the stories, man, and it's unfortunate, but. You know, I think it is getting better. It will get better. I think as time goes and people, you know, like us, you know, have kids and teach them the right way, you know, it will one day, you know, get better and better. You know? I mean, that's all we're in this
weird, like you're older than me. You said you're 38?
38, yeah.
So you're 9 years older than me. Okay. So I grew up And I think like my grandparents were definitely racist. Like the way, like I grew up, the first house I lived in when I was born until I was like 7, we lived right next to black people, and we like never talked to them. Like we never said any, like I never heard anything bad about them. We just, I never saw them. Like we saw them sometimes, but I never talked to them. And so I think my grandparents' generation was like the actual active racist. And then like my mom's generation was just like
50s, 60s.
Yeah. Like I think my mom was born in 67 or something.
Okay.
But it wasn't like actively hating. It was just like, let them stay there and we'll stay here and just separate everything. And I think finally we're getting to this new generation where I'm like, hey, Dave's a cool guy. Why was I raised to just ignore him and let him do his stuff and let me do my stuff? Because he's a valuable person, just like anybody else. And he has, value to add to everything, the social interactions, the economy. And obviously we can talk about the statistics and everything like that. But like I said at the beginning of this interview, you are proof that growing up in a bad neighborhood doesn't like set you up for failure for the rest of your life. If you're raised with solid parents. And you kept saying when you were talking a minute ago about how you had all these interactions when you were young, and you're like, looking back, I was just, I didn't realize it now, but what made you, what am I trying to say? So like, do you think you had that, it's like some sort of respect for authority because of maybe your mother and father? Like, did they like instill like, because some people now are raising their kids to like hate cops, to like telling their kids like, they're gonna kill you. I'm like,
you just have to teach them how to act around. Like I had to teach my son's 17, just got his license, got a car, got him a car. And I had to teach him how to drive, and then I had to really teach him how to drive, if you understand what I'm saying. You know, if you ever get pulled over, this is what you do. My father told me that a long time ago, before Black Lives Matter. Of course, Black Lives Matter is 2013 or whatever. But before all this, I mean, he, put your hands in your steering wheel, answer your question, don't get smart with them. That way you can go, I teach my son that. He hasn't been put over yet. He ain't been having a year yet. But I had to teach him, like, look, man, when you get pulled over, have your stuff ready. Have your hands on the steering wheel. Have your window down. Yes, sir. No, sir. Blah, 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 blah. And then go. Even if you think you was in the right, man, we can deal with that later in court or something like that. Because it's not worth, basically, like Breonna Taylor or George Floyd. It's not worth going through all that. They pull you out, and let's say you trip or something on accident. You might think you're doing something, and then and then it's over. Yeah. So just like I said, it was my parents, man. If it wasn't for them, I don't know how I'd be acting right now. They taught me in the beginning, what to do. That way, if I ever got in that situation, I would know what to do. And I do the same thing. Well, I got 3 boys, man. And boys, I mean, my God, they rough and wild, of course. And my son, he's level-headed, but I think my middle one, I'm gonna have some problems with. And if he ever gets pulled over by the police, I know he's gonna want to say something, and that's not a good idea, And don't get me wrong, I got cops in my family. It's just like at every job. There's bad apples in every job. My job, I know the ones that, oh man, here he come, And so our police are not like that. I get that, but police are scared. So if you do something to scare them, something's gonna happen. And if that police happens to be, racist, I don't like black people or whatever, then it's even gonna be worse. So you just gotta make sure, just yes sir, no sir, and get out that situation if you can. I got put over last year. That's the last time I got put over, and I didn't get a ticket, but it was my fault. I had a headlight out or whatever. But I got put over, and I made a mistake for going off on a side street, dark, no lights. I was trying my best to go somewhere where it was lights, everybody, but I was on side street. It was pitch dark, and I was so scared. I was like, oh, shoot, what's going on? So he put over, and I remember I said to him, he asked me for something. I didn't have it. And I had to go in my glove compartment. I was like, officer, I'm about to go in my glove compartment. Is that okay? I'm just letting you know before I do it. And he was like, yes. And young man, because it was the older guy, he's like, I'm glad you told me that. It makes me feel more comfortable. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I went in there. And
the cops are scared. And, they are. Like, I have cops in my family too. And, it's a dangerous job. But black people are also scared because
Yes.
even though I think police brutality and like actual murder of black people, it's kind of blown out of proportion. I don't think it happens as much as the media wants to portray it, especially right now. I mean, I know black people that are literally terrified to call the cops, even if they need, because they think the cops are just going to come and shoot them. And that's just not what's going to happen in 99.999% of cases. Again, not saying it doesn't happen. I'm just thinking that people are just overly afraid on both sides. And when you got stuff going on that, you know, like we've got now, like the protest, people yelling in cops' faces and cops yelling in other people's faces, everybody's just scared. So like even me as a white guy, like I got pulled over one time and I had my shotgun in the back of the truck. And like I after he pulled it behind me and I just like held my hands out the window like this. And I was like, yeah, I've got a shotgun back there. He's like, oh, you're fine, man. Like it was never.
I had a gun and he asked me if I had a gun. I said, yes, you know, it's under the seat. And that was one of the times I had to get out the car because he didn't want me to he said he fears he basically in so many words he said he was scared and he would like to talk to me out of the car since the gun's on the seat. So he made me get out the car to talk to me, you know. And I mean it's crazy, man. And as far as being killed, no, I know, you know, they're not killing people left and right, but I think there's a lot of other stuff that goes down where, you know, black people are and not just black people, everybody, but you know, I can just speak for black people, are scared, you know. I know some guys who's been kind of framed almost, you know. There's a lot of cricket cops. It's a lot in Louisville. I know there's a lot of cops doing stuff they're not supposed to be doing, you know. Yeah. As far as, you know, hey, give me this arm and tail, you know, or this, that, and other stuff like that. Yeah. That's just super bad. You know what I'm saying? Like Breonna Taylor. All them cops went in there, nobody had their camera on. Somebody just got killed last week during the protest and stuff. None of them had their cameras on. 8 people shot this guy. Nobody had their cameras. It's like, yeah, where the cameras at? They got them on. Why you ain't turning them on? You know, it's like just crazy stuff. You know what I'm saying?
I saw a video this week of this. Somebody posted it because it was almost the exact same situation as George Floyd. It was a white guy, I think in Texas, maybe, and like a very typical white guy. Like they got his ID and they read his neighborhood and they're like, "What? You're in that neighborhood? What are you doing acting like this?" And he had called the cops because he skipped out on his mental health medication that day, and then he took some kind of drugs. And after he felt himself kind of go crazy, he called the cops. He's like, "Hey, I'm freaking out. I need somebody to come help me." So the cops knew it was a mental health situation, you know. So they got there and he was freaking out. They had the video on, and they ended up putting him face down on the ground. And one of the cops put his knee on his back and held him there, and he died. They held him like 6 or 7.
I remember that one. Yeah,
he passed out, and I think it happened back in 2016. I was like, why did nobody know about this? And it's because the police footage didn't get released until this year. They had to like sue the police department to get the police footage because the cops were, after he passed out, they were like making fun of him. They're like, "Hey, come on, wake up. It's time to go to school." You know, just like they knew the guy was messed up. Like he made a mistake, but you know, he was not in his right mind.
Yeah, man. That happens too. You never know. I mean, you just never know how somebody is at that time. As far as I'm gonna go back, as far as like black resellers and stuff like that. Like you said, there is a couple. I probably can count on one hand how many there is too. I follow. And I just think, I mean, there's a lot. I know some in my city, but just don't have a YouTube channel, of course. I don't know, man. I try to some of my friends know what I do, you know, and I can show them numbers and everything, and they just like, man, I don't want to do. I mean, I don't get it. I don't know if you got any friends like that, you know. You know, it's. Well, I will show them the numbers. They'll be like, "Man, I want to do that." And like, how can I do that? But none of them want to do the work. I think it's too much work, I guess. But it's not just a black thing. It's just people in general. You know, it's like, and then as far as the YouTube, man, some people are just not. A lot of my friends are not computer savvy. Yeah. You know, coming up, I didn't have a computer. Well, I take it back. I had a computer, but a lot of my friends didn't have a computer until they was probably in college, you know what I'm saying? And didn't really know how to and like how you edit videos or how you do this or how you post here or how you doing that, man? And I get questioned all the time, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. There you go. There's another one right there.
But I don't know if it's I mean, I think a lot of people don't realize that a lot of our population is white. I think black people are only like, what, 13% of the US population.
Mm-hmm.
And depending on what city you're in, like I grew up in a city in South Carolina that was about 50, almost more than 50%
Yeah,
black.
especially in South Carolina. Yeah.
So like it seems weird for me to think that's so much. So like some juries are like, oh, all the jury was white. I'm like, well, he lives in a city where there's only 5% black people. So technically,
Yeah.
if it's 12 people, then that's not so far off. But
there's counties in Louisville and Kentucky, man, that we know not to go to. I mean, Kentucky, when you talk about Kentucky, it's there's Confederate flags up everywhere, and I mean, it's bad, man. I mean, Louisville is different. We have a big population here in Louisville. Louisville's like, the hub. Anywhere else, forget about it. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah,
it's just
yeah, I don't even feel comfortable. I used to deliver Chinese food, and if I went out to like a trailer park way out in the middle of nowhere and I started seeing Confederate flags, I'm like, all right, there's some crazy people out here. I saw a thing today that was like I don't like, I get it if people had family members that died in the Civil War. I understand that. But like still proudly flying it around, somebody's like, that's like waving the second place trophy around, just being so proud of it.
Right, exactly.
They were technically, treason, like convicted of treason. They were going against the Union, so.
And then, like you said, I used to see them a lot growing up and stuff. But then, when it comes out, that it offends certain people, just like, the NFL where, the Redskins and the, all the different types of, when it offends people, I guess, do what you can as far as, I don't want to offend nobody. So, whatever. I mean, I would think that's just me, I ain't trying to offend you, so I'll take it down. You know what I'm saying? It's whatever. Yeah. But it just depends on what it is too, man. But I mean, it's something out here, man. Like I follow Buffalo Picker, the Glass City Pickers. I'm trying to think. It's some on Instagram that don't have YouTube pages. I mean, it's crazy, man. It's a lot of people I follow on Instagram who post lives and all kinds of stuff on Instagram.
Somebody said something about Instagram the other day on like your Explore page. They're like, so basically Etsy did this thing where they're adding a filter that you can search for Black-owned businesses on Etsy. And they were like, because of all this stuff, they were giving Black-owned businesses on Etsy a push in the search engine optimization. And some people were against that. Like this one guy posted, he was from like Greece or something. He's like, I'm a first-generation immigrant. I didn't own slaves. I'm not white. Like, why are these Black people getting benefits about something? Like, they didn't get shot by the police, whatever. They don't have anything to do with this. And he got a ton of hate for that comment. But it's interesting to think about these businesses that, like, we can talk about the reparations and all that stuff, but like, how would you feel as a Black business owner, like getting a push up from a company? Say if eBay started doing that, like, oh, Tesla Picker, we're gonna put your listings ahead of everybody else's just because you're Black. Would you enjoy that privilege as like a, as a benefit, or would you think that, if you became more successful because of that, would people discredit you? Like, oh, he's only had more sales to me this month because eBay pushed his store because he's Black. So like I just feel like
why they're doing. I understand, why they're doing it. I understand why they doing it. I mean, that's a hard one. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I would like to grind myself, and because of me and what I did, my company's where it's at.
Yeah.
But as far as this situation, I can understand why they doing what they doing.
But then it's like, are they doing it because they actually care, or because it makes them look good?
A lot of companies because it makes them look good. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, a lot of companies is doing this and doing that. Because look at it, but then some companies don't care, I mean, they're like, hey, forget that company. I'm gonna throw all this money at Trump. It's like, so it just depends on where you at, So I'm glad that they doing it, man. But I understand what you're saying. I would want to grind to get there, to say that I did it and my company's here because of that. But we, in my eyes, I feel like I'm always starting here, and I just want to be here with you, So that little push is probably not going to even push me up to where some people are already at,
Yeah.
Coming up, man. I mean, even today, man. like I walk in a grocery store, man. I'm outgoing. I talk to everybody. Hey, how you doing? What's going on?
Yeah.
I sit there and have a 15-minute conversation with you. But looking at me, I got the dreads. I'm the typical like stereotype. I got the dreads.
Yeah.
I usually got some sunglasses on, like, I'm got maybe some Jordans on.
That guy's gonna steal
some basketball shorts. Yeah, so if you're looking at me, you like, oh man, But so somebody in front of me, they might be like, hey, how you doing? I'm like, good work. And then I walk past and nothing. But I always make sure I be like, hey, how you doing? And they might be like, oh, how you doing? A lot of times, I don't get that, sometimes. So I feel like I'm always starting below and I have to make, work myself to get there. You know what I'm saying? Step just even kill. So I can understand the push, to kind of put us out there and let us know what's going on, because usually that's not the case.
Yeah, when I was watching one of your videos, when you went to the antique mall, and like here, antique malls are like Hobby Lobby, like nothing in there but usually older white ladies. And older white ladies around me are the most judgmental people ever. So like in your video, I was looking for white ladies to see if they would like be eyeballing you the whole time, or like going to check the security camera.
I had a backpack on and everything. So I was kind of
I hate to go to an antique mall. And
I remember I watched that video when you went to that antique mall one time.
I walk in, they could care less about me. But if you walked in, I guarantee they would, at least around here, they would keep an eye on you,
Yeah, that was, I get the looks, but I'm used to those looks a lot of times, especially when I'm by myself and I'm in an antique mall. And sorry to say, we usually don't go to the antique mall, but and I had a backpack on and I had a camera on at the same time. So people's gonna look at me no matter what color I am, because I got a camera and I got a backpack, in an antique mall where if you want to, you probably can throw whatever you want to in in your backpack and they wouldn't even know, But so I knew I was gonna get the looks, but nobody ever really says anything, you just get the looks. So it's wild. But people, and it's sad, you adapt and you get used to it and you just kind of just play your hand. You got to do what you got to do to make sure you're okay. And I think that's why I'm the way I am as far as diversifying my funds. I'm in the stocks. I got a bunch of Bitcoin. I got a bunch of other types of coins. So I'm in the stocks. My father, he day trades. So I really know, I know about that. And my father got a paint company. He's retired. He retired at 50. He worked for the, so he got a pension. So he's set. He's ready. And he kind of instilled that into me.
Great family.
Yeah, man,
retiring at 50, that's crazy, man.
He worked 28 years, the same job, 18 to 50. And so he retired at 50 years old. And back then, of course, everybody had a pension. Of course, we don't. We got 401k if we have that when we get 62 or 65, whatever. But so he retired at 50, man. He said he's pretty much bringing in the same money, which he was making 6 figures when he retired. He pretty much making the same money he was when he retired. So he said, I went on and retired, started another company, do day trading. He does all that, man. And I'm my father is not too much older. Well, I say not too much older than me. He had me when he was 19. So my father is, what is he, 59? I don't know. So my father's not really, he's he's fairly young for that, for a father. My mother is 54. She had me at 16. So my peoples are pretty young. I hang with them. We pretty cool. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Which is a good thing.
So there's 2 interesting comments in the chat I want to address. The first came from Monica. I'm assuming she's a woman. She's black. She says she's black in the chat. And she was talking about, she said, I'm ignored a lot at some yard sales. I don't purchase from them because of it. And I definitely see that. What I was talking to Dave about before the show started and on Instagram was that I've never been to a yard sale that's hosted by black people. And I don't know if that's because I just don't see them, like I'm just ignorant to them, like I don't go to that part of town, or if because they just don't do them. But I think, like what I said earlier, like my mom's generation, like it wasn't growing up hating black people. It was just like, we're separate from them. Like they do whatever they want to do and we do whatever I want to do. We don't bother each other. And so I think a lot of yard sales around here are people of my mom's age. And if they grow up in this same area, they probably have that same disposition about black people. Like they're not going to kick you out of their yard sale, but they just don't know how to have a conversation with you. If they see some white person come up that looks just like them, they're like, oh, hey, how you doing? Right. How y'all doing today? Yep. We got some shoes right over here. And then Monica comes up and they're just like, oh, we'll just wait until she leaves,
It happens, man. I don't know. I mean, like this weekend, matter of fact, I went to your set today, but this guy was pretty cool. He was younger though. He's younger than me. He was pretty cool. He had a bunch of stuff, man. That video's coming soon, but I got all kinds of crazy stuff. But last week, I went to your sale, and it's the same with me, man. Nobody really says anything unless I say something to me, says something to them. As far as black people, you're right. Me, myself, and I'm black. I haven't really been to that I can think of any sales, but we tend to keep everything, man. I can't talk for everybody, but I know my grandmother's, if she had a sale, she would clean house.
I would drive to Kentucky.
She would clean house. She has so much stuff back from the 80s, 90s, all kinds of stuff. And we keep everything because I think it's because we didn't have much growing up, man. So when we get something, we keep it. We rarely throw anything away. I know my family's like that. They never get looking ready to get rid of anything. Me, my wife, she wants to throw away everything. Let's get rid of it. I tell her, and then that I'm reseller, I have to tell her all the time, look, man, you get with me before you throw anything away. Shoes, dresses, all that, get with me first. She's one of those people, if I haven't touched it in a year, it's gone. She's one of those. So, but she likes to throw away a lot of stuff and don't even tell me about it. And,
did she watch the Marie Kondo documentary without telling you?
I don't even know what that is, but I'm sure she probably did.
It was last year, maybe about a year ago. There was this documentary that came out on Netflix. It was based off a book called what is the book? I don't know. It's by Marie Kondo, and it's about like simplifying your life. And if anybody knows the name of that
like
book,
organizer or something, or she like
it's just about like decluttering. Like if you've had something in your life, like you go through your entire home, every single thing you own, and you hold it in your hand and you say, like, try to determine
minimalist.
what brings you joy. Yeah, about minimalism.
Yeah.
And if the item doesn't bring you joy, then you're supposed to get rid of it. And they made the book was really good. I read the book, and then the Netflix was just very, very watered down, but it was still good. But it generated a lot of people getting rid of stuff. Stop calling.
That's good for me and you.
Yeah, it was awesome for thrift stores. But I didn't sound like she sounds like everybody else that was letting go of stuff because of that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's, and I would think, I mean, like you said, especially where you live in South Carolina, I know there's a lot of blacks that live there, and you never been to one in South Carolina.
No, and it's not, when I pull up yard sale treasure map, I don't ignore, like in my area in Lexington, South Carolina, it's pretty white. Like in my actual like subdivision, it's probably 95% white.
Oh, okay.
And the general population of Lexington is I'd say probably over 85% white, maybe.
Okay.
But then I used to live in Apple Valley, which is like 85% black, I'm pretty sure me and the guy I lived with were the only white people in the whole neighborhood. So, but it was awesome. Like, it wasn't awesome, but it was weird at first, but I feel like I have a better sense of the black struggle because I lived there for about 9 months. And it was in a terrible school district. The cops were always in the neighborhood. There were roaches. Most people, it was, a single mom with boyfriends coming in and out. It was just hard. Like I try to imagine what I would be like today as a man, having grown up in a neighborhood like that for 18 years.
Yeah.
And I think that's what a lot of white people don't understand. They just see black people with no respect and pants sagging and stuff like that, and they think less of them. I'm like, do you have any idea what they had to go through growing up? They're like, They didn't have two parents. They didn't have a 4A school that was winning all these state awards. They didn't have the cops only coming to their neighborhood when a black person walked by. Like this.
And I see that. Even when my son doesn't know the hood at all. He's like the suburb, because I live, like, it's probably me. I can think of 3 black people live in my subdivision. And so, it's a big subdivision. So, he's never wanted for anything. Like I said, he got a car when he turned 16. That's probably bad. You know what I'm saying? But my grandmother still lives down in the West End and stuff like that. So he goes down there, he's been down there, he hangs down there. But West End is like the bad part of the neighborhood, my fault. Bad part of Louisville. Anyway, he doesn't know what it's like to kind of struggle a little bit, okay, I gotta make sure I don't spend this because I need to spend it on this. And this needs to last for a whole week, you know what I'm saying? Or make sure you lock the door. Make sure he doesn't know about that stuff. he's raised different, which is good, and that's what I want. I always want my kids to have better than what I have. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah,
it's actually, you know, I'm proud of him though, man. He's doing real good. Like I said, he got scholarship. He plays football. I just took him on a visit to University of Cincinnati, and you know, went on a football visit. He walked through there. He loved it, so he probably played football when he goes to college. And it's pretty good, man. You know, it's I'm just laying it out for him so he can, you know, do better than I did, you know, for his kids and stuff like that. So
that's because you're a good parent. And
man, that's what you got to do, man. And that's where it starts from, man. That's where it starts from. I mean, that's the core. You know, if you have a good core, you're gonna be okay. And I had, I think, a good core. Even though I lived in that crazy environment, you know, I had both of my parents there, and they told me no when, you know, and my wife's, I don't know if you know, my wife's assistant principal. She's a teacher. She was a teacher for years. Now she's assistant principal, and she likes to teach at the schools that don't have much. You know, the kids that come from the hood and stuff like that, and she gets more out of it because she's teaching them, you know, basically how to live. And my wife is hip. And that's the thing, you know, you get these teachers sometimes that don't, like you just saying, don't know what's going on with these kids. My wife does. Mm-hmm. So she knows how to treat them and how to talk to them, and they understand a little bit. But I mean, you gotta, and I think that's the police too. If you got police that don't know that neighborhood too much, don't know what's going on, you know, it tends to cause friction. But if you get the police that's maybe from that neighborhood or knows what's going on, they probably can deal with the situation a little better. You know what I'm saying? And that's just like it is with schooling, man. It's a lot of, I mean, my wife tells me teachers cry all the time at school. They always ready to quit. I mean, we can't keep teachers here in Kentucky, man. They giving jobs away. I mean, this, you know, you used to have your master's for certain jobs. You don't have to have that no more. You used to have an education degree. You don't have to have that no more. As long as you have a degree, you can get a job. You know, I mean, it's hard to keep teachers now, you know, so it's kind of wild.
We live in a crazy world, you know, and I just think it's just important. I hate that it took, you know, the whole George Floyd thing for me to think about this. Like, I think we all need a reminder about, you know, the disparities between white and black people in America. And I hate that it's something like a tragedy that would do this, but I guess it's good that we're all finally, you know, trying to wake up a little bit and
I agree,
get some stuff done. You know,
I agree, man. I mean, even as bad as that was, and as bad as all these things are, especially this time, man. And I can say this, especially here in Louisville. I mean, because I don't know if you know here, Breonna Taylor, she died. Did I tell you about? Do you know about Breonna Taylor?
I haven't. I mean, I've read a few articles about it. Basically, my understanding is cops came and did a no-knock warrant, and they shot her and killed her.
Yeah.
Which, in my opinion, that's worse than what happened to George Floyd.
I don't understand why no-knock warrants is even in existence. Yeah. Imagine, let's say somebody came to your house at 2:00 in the morning, plain clothes, okay, and knocked on your door or just ran in your house. And you get out your shotgun. That's the first thing you probably gonna go, you know, like, look, somebody's breaking into my house, you know, and then, you know, I mean, that's what you're gonna do, man. I mean, you think somebody's breaking the house. I don't understand. Anyway, that happened, and so it's been a lot of protests.
I remember when they dropped the charges on her husband, and it was always like, okay, all's good. I'm like, no, like,
right. She's dead. You know, she's EMT work and everything. I mean, it's sad, but it's been a lot of protests because of that now and then. Louisville, you know, riots. The West End is trash, man. We only have one Kroger down there in the, you know, the poor part of the neighborhood of Louisville. We have one Kroger down there, one store, you know, it's a couple of restaurants. All those is done. It's gonna take a while to get the West End back up. And I forgot I was gonna go with it. But but anyway, I mean, it's, and all that being said, man, what I was gonna say is the peaceful protest is so diverse, man. I mean, the front lines, I don't know if you've seen pictures, it's all white people, you know, holding. I mean, this is the first time I've seen where it's just like people are fed up, not just black people, everybody's fed up. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, and that's good to see, man. That's why when I was saying earlier that, you know, as generations go, everything is gonna get better and better because we're gonna raise our kids to be a certain way. You know what I'm saying? So you always gonna have your bad apples, but I think it's just gonna be, you know, it gotta be better, you know. So we'll see.
Leroy is in the chat. I didn't recognize him because it changed his name. He said, "Thank you guys for doing this conversation. I understand both sides. I was raised by white and black parents in the 80s. It was tough." I can't imagine what that was
Yeah.
like, man. That's a tough time and situation to be in, but you
Yeah.
turned
I was
out
in the
pretty
80s when I was growing up too.
good. Yeah.
I mean, it's yeah, man, and it's all about, like I said, you got a hand, you just got to play it. You know what I'm saying? And hopefully it works out. And I believe it worked out for me. My
Sure.
wife is not from here. She moved here when she was 16, so I had to teach her a lot about what was going on. But my wife, man, she was protesting the other day. All teachers went down there, man, and they did their thing, peaceful protests, and I'm just proud of her. She went
Yeah.
live and showed what was going on, and she's with it. Like she said, she got black sons, and my wife's German and Puerto Rican, so she has black sons, and
With being German and Puerto Rican,
mm-hmm.
if somebody looks at her, are they immediately going to associate her as being black?
Latin, Puerto Rican.
Latin. Okay.
Yeah. She's
people like judging,
Yeah, yeah. She's but there's not. She deal with the same thing, man. It's not a lot of them, not a lot. A lot of Puerto Ricans here either. So
yeah.
I mean, it's more here now, but she's minority as well. So
yeah.
I mean, it's just crazy. Especially as being a teacher, it's crazy. She does with a lot as well. So that's another conversation. So I mean, it's wild. But it's all good, man. We both, you white, I'm black. We both resell. We both getting money, man. That's all that matters, right?
So why do you think? Like, I think reselling would be a great business to start for a young black guy, who's just, maybe he didn't grow up with the best situation, but he wants to start something for himself. And I don't know if it's just because my social media tend to show me white people, but I just don't see a lot of black people doing this. And do you have access to a community that I'm not aware of like more black? I mean, I know you've mentioned a couple of them here, but I think we only talk about 4 or 5, but everybody else in the chat is a reseller and they're white, and everybody else I'm subscribed to on YouTube is white, and everybody I follow on Instagram is white. And I don't understand why more black people are not taking advantage of this relatively easy and inexpensive business.
Anybody can do it. Yeah. As far as YouTube, there's not a lot. Now on Instagram, I follow a lot. Like as far as young, like McDonald's to Millionaire, his name is actually McDonald's to Millionaire. He's a young guy, and he came from a troubled past time, and where something happened, and you might get a felony or something, and you have to change your life. And he went into reselling. He's killing it. You know what I'm saying? He changed his whole life. He's killing it. And people like that, but they don't have YouTube pages. They just on Instagram.
Yeah.
And I don't know, man. I get recommended people like that though. I don't know if they know that I'm black and they recommend me black people or what. I mean, but like when I look at my Explore page, like they there, I don't know. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And of course, there's a bunch of Puerto Ricans that I follow that are resellers, and I mean all nationalities. But so I follow a lot of people. Now, me, like people here lived in Louisville, I know nobody. It's just me. As far as African American reseller, but I don't know a lot either. I mean, I probably can count on my hands how many that I follow on Instagram, and everybody else is pretty much.
I mean,
white.
even in real life, when I go to the bins, it's the same group of people at the bins every day, and there's I think there's 3 black people that I can think of, and probably 20 or so white people. Friend Brandon Green, I saw him. He was in one of my videos. He's usually at the bins a lot. And a lot of them buy stuff at the bins and sell it at the flea market. I don't think any of them do eBay or anything like that.
Enjoy bada bing.
Yeah.
I don't know if you see my stories that I was looking at my recommendeds, and I always get Joey's old cooking videos recommended for me to watch. I don't know if you know.
We're gonna make a pizza.
Yeah. So I looked on my stories and I was like, hey, recommended there. Recommended was Cincinnati picker, this picker. And then it came Joey Bada Bing. He recommended, and he was cooking a pizza. I'm like, well, what is this? So he just said something in the chat about it.
Good old Joey.
But I mean, man, it's I don't know, man. It is, man. It's I don't know if people just don't know or what, I know a lot to shoe resell. It's a lot of people who collect Jordans and stuff that resell Jordans.
And see, that for me, I think of that as a stereotype. If I see a black guy that's a reseller, my mind automatically goes to Jordans.
Yes, and I know a lot of them. I'm in a lot of shoe groups, and that's what they do. They buy a bunch of shoes and they resell them. Yeah. And they sell on eBay too. So I'm like, why don't you sell other stuff? You know, because usually you buying a pair of Jordans for $250 and selling them for $325 or $300. I'm like, you're making $50, but eBay fees, you're probably making 25. You know, I'm like, I don't understand it, you know? So I'm selling a lot of my shoes now, man, except all my Jordan 1s. But I got like 225 pair of shoes, something like that. So I got a lot of shoes.
Got a lot of inventory. You're stocked up.
Yeah, and I've been making some good money, man. I sold a pair of shoes for $575 the other day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I got a lot of rare Jordans and stuff like that I've been having since, you know, I've been collecting since 2001. So, you know, I got shoes that's over 20 years old.
When you collect them, do you wear them too, or do you just like leave them in mint condition?
Some I haven't. Like I got a pair of shoes like about back in 2001 that I never wore, and I of course never will. But most of them I do. But I wear steel toes to work every day, so I never have, you know, chance. I haven't bought a shoe probably in about a year or so because I'm not really into it no more. So I'm selling a lot of stuff that I really don't have, but I have a lot that I haven't. Probably 25% of my shoes are dead stock. I never worn before.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
just hold them to them and then give them to your grandkids one day.
Yeah, I was giving them to my son, but he passed me up. He passed me up. I wear 10 and a half now. He's wearing 11 and a half. So I'm like, well, you can't wear them no more.
Yeah. Well, Dave, there's a lot of problems in the world that we can't fix with an hour-long conversation, but I just wanted to meet with you, man, just to just get the conversation going. You know, I back on the Blackout Tuesday, you know, I posted the black square on my Instagram, and a bunch of other content creators posted black squares. But and I think right now it's the cool thing, you know, Black Lives Matter is the cool thing to get on board. You know, companies, if a company hasn't posted something about it, they're automatically racist, you know, and it's just,
I mean, if you go to Amazon's page, it's all over Amazon, Black Lives Matter, this, that, and that. Yeah. And
so it's hard to discern who's, you know, truly cares about the Black community and who's just trying to do the good PR. So if any content creators are watching this, I challenge you not to, you know, don't just post black square and then be done with it and hope it all gets brushed on the rug, because unfortunately this will probably blow over in the next couple of months. It's happened before. You know, something else will come up and it'll take the back burner for a while.
Right.
But
I agree.
And we just got to keep the conversation going and keep, you know, bridging the gaps. Like like I said, I grew up in a home where it was the separate, you know, it wasn't discrimination. It was just like, you do your thing and I'll do my thing. And I think we're missing out on so much value in sharing our communities with each other.
Yeah, I agree. I forgot about too. He's in the chat now. His name is Kevin. His name is Picking in the Hood on YouTube. If you haven't watched him, man, he's hilarious, man. He's actually, you know, he lives in the hood and he picks in the hood. So he always talks about it, and he's kind of crazy, man. He actually bought some socks from me a while back, and I forgot about him. He's a black reseller as well. But I agree with what you said, man. I mean, like you said, unfortunately, you know, you know, we talk about it, and then we forget about it. But it's, you know, it's like that with everything. Mm-hmm. And I mean, you know, hopefully though, hopefully what this time though, I think it's been a little different. You know, I don't know if it's because so many things happen at once, because we have this, we actually have a thing that happened in Georgia, and we had another thing. I mean, they all happened within a month of each other, and it's been kind of powerful. So I don't know, man. I mean, like you said, just we just need to keep, you know, talking about it, bringing it up, you know, even if you bring it up every once in a while, and just, you know, just try, you know, to just know where we coming from when we come from. I mean, when somebody says Black Lives Matter, some people take it wrong. When people say Black Lives Matter, they really don't mean only Black Lives Matter.
Yeah.
Right now, they mean right now Black Lives Matter because of what's going on, you know. So and a lot of people get that misconstrued sometimes. But it's all good, man. I mean, hopefully things work out, and like I said, it's only can get better. You know, you raise your kids whenever you have kids. I'll raise my kids to be a certain way. Everybody raise their kids to be better people, and this stuff will pass over. And I think
that's right. Yeah. All right, man. Well, we'll call it quits. I don't want to keep you too long. Thank you guys for watching. Oh, Art Vandalay, $4.99 super chat. Thanks, man. I appreciate that.
That's thanks, my man. I make him talk too. He's great.
But yeah, thank you guys for watching. I appreciate it. I know
we thanks a lot, man. I appreciate y'all all coming out and watching. Yeah, and thanks for having me, Josh.
Absolutely. Anytime, man. Y'all have a good night, and we'll see you on the next one. Peace out.